Hello, welcome to 8.9 News. I'm Finlo Costain. Today's headlines: enhanced rock weathering can help soils sequester carbon indefinitely. Farming leaders say that government has a responsibility to act to accelerate agroecological transition. And poor soil health presents a national security risk. Enhanced rock weathering is a nature-based carbon removal technology that permanently locks away atmospheric CO2. Jennifer Brodie is the business development manager for Undo, an enhanced rock weathering company based in Scotland. I asked her whether by adding fine weathered aggregate to soil and by boosting soil organic matter production, regenerative farmers could actually grow soil and soil carbon indefinitely.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic approach to it, because there is this conception out there that the soil has a limited ability to capture carbon. But what we've got to remember is that soil is a growing, living media. And it's got the inorganic matter and it's got the organic matter. Because when you consider the life in the soil, Aristotle said worms are the intestines of the soil. So when we add what we're going to be talking about, the rock, that is adding the minerals, but it's also boosting the life in the soil. And I think it's the catalyst to grow our soil. We mustn't think of our soil. Soil used to be much, much deeper, and we want to get back to growing our soil. I mean, and I can just say a little bit further that we've been dependent on NPK fertilizers. Now, the NPK fertilizers have made the plants grow fast but weak. So we've had to add pesticides and herbicides, which has actually killed the life in our soil. And a lot of our soil is dead. So how are we going to reverse that cycle? And I think that the enhanced rock weathering that we're adding at the moment, it boosts the life in the soil, and we can climb our way back out. We can grow our soil, and it can go on indefinitely.
So let's go on to that enhanced rock weathering. What is it? Describe what it is for me, would you?
Well, it is the accepted term now for improving rock weathering. What happens is that we have our rainfall, and it breaks down. It as the rain falls, it picks up the CO2. Now, CO2 is one of our greenhouse gases. It's only 0.04% of the atmosphere, but it forms a mild carbonic acid, which obviously lands in the soil. And when it interfaces with the rock, it breaks down the minerals of the rock. And as part of this, it releases the carbon in the rock, and the magnesium in the rock forms calcium. The calcium in the rock and the magnesium in the rock forms calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate, and it locks in the carbonate. So that's how it's capturing.
And it's basalt in particular that you're talking about using in this process.
Oh yes, there are obviously lots of rock out there, but basalt is recognised as the most mineral rich, especially with the calcium and magnesium. So it is the basalt rock that we've honed in on.
And when we talk about, some of the issues with scaling different processes, what you're working with is the process where basalt is used for concrete production and aggregate production for asphalt and things like that. So really what you're doing is taking a product which is essentially a waste product and giving it a new lease of life.
Oh, absolutely. Because what happens in the quarries is that they blast out the rock faces, and they crush it and screen it and crush it and screen it. And 4 millimeters and down is what they're left with. And I am actively visiting quarries that have got this left over, and it's a bit of a problem. They put it to one side. But actually, that's exactly what we want. I mean, I visited a quarry just fairly recently, and it goes through the crushers, and there's one spout where the dust is coming out the side, and the quarry manager shook his head and he laughed at me. I says, "Look at that, that's fantastic." And to him it was just rubbish, but it's exactly what we need. It's the bit that the quarry industry doesn't need.
So how does the work that you're doing with this enhanced rock weathering, how does it fit within the carbon market that exists at the moment?
Yeah, well, a super question. Well, number one is that it's new, and Undo are the pioneers in. I mean, I've been banging on about the values for so long, but at last the Undo has recognised and grasped the nettle, because what's changed everything is the scientifically proven that this material captures carbon. Now it's the inorganic carbon. So up till now, the carbon offsetting, the carbon market has been depending on trees, planting trees and increasing the organic matter in soil, etc. So can I make the division between the organic carbon and the inorganic carbon? Okay, right. You listening?
Please do.
Yes, right. The organic carbon is carbon that has been part of living tissue, whether it's the compost, whether it's the manure, or whether it's the biology of the soil. Our own bodies are up to 25% carbon. So that is the carbon cycle. So by planting a tree, you're taking the carbon out of the atmosphere. Molecule of CO2, molecule of water makes the carbonate. But that tree could die or fall over, get blown over, or could have a disease, or could get burnt. And blow me that with the climate change, these things are happening rapidly, and the CO2 is released into the atmosphere. Now, the inorganic carbon is when we take the calcium, magnesium, captures the carbon that has come out as the carbon dioxide, and it makes the calcium carbonate, the magnesium carbonate, calcium bicarbonate, magnesium bicarbonate, and it captures in the soil and it locks it in for thousands of years. So coming back to that question, how does it fit with the carbon market? We have to educate the carbon market. And the other aspect is, how do we measure it? You can imagine how, you grow a tree. Oh, there you go. You've got your rows of trees. You can count them. You count the roots and you count the stalk. But what happens when that tree grows over? So what we have to be able to do is prove that we're capturing the carbon, that we are actually making calcium carbonate. So
and how do you do that?
Right, good question. Sorry. Right. Well, we are pioneers again. We have created we have to MRV. This particular industry is absolutely laced with acronyms. And, and I always think of an acronym as a gate. And if you don't know what the acronym means, it's a locked gate. So MRV, measure, record, and verify. So we've got this system of mesocosms, and you can picture a mesocosm as a big test tube. And we add different amounts of this rock dust or crushed basalt to the top of these test tubes, and we expose it to normal weather, normal rainfall, which just travels down through the soil, and we measure the we have probes at the side, so we measure the soil water, how much carbonates and bicarbonates have we actually made, and the runoff at the bottom. We have to be able to prove that we're doing that.
That was Jennifer Brodie from Undo. More about this and our other headline news on our website, 8.9.com. That's all for now. We're back on Friday. Thanks for watching.